Yeah. What's up, YouTube? S Deuce is the name, Talking Wrestling is the game, and last night, Monday Night Raw, it was okay. It wasn't crazy, it wasn't nuts. There was a few surprises. I expected some of them. I want to get right into it. Sasha Banks opens up Raw, and this is cool what they're doing with these women. Foley was on Facebook last year and all this year, before he got the GM job, pushing these women, and he wants them to be able to do the things like the men do in main event pay-per-views and all that. We're a ways away from them main eventing a pay-per-view, but we are one step closer to another big women's history moment in wrestling. And Sasha Banks opens up Raw. Charlotte immediately interrupts, and they agree, per se, to a Hell in a Cell match at Hell in a Cell. Charlotte agrees to meet Charlotte inside a Hell in a Cell for the WWE Women's Championship. So, while that's going on, Rusev and Lana come out, which kind of confused me, but then I put it all together real fast when Reigns came out, and they're going to have a mixed tag. Later on in the night, Rusev and Charlotte against Reigns and the boss, Sasha Banks. I was hoping that wasn't the main event, and I was right. So, continuing on, Kofi Kingston and the New Day, they're great. I love them. I've loved them. They mentioned Demolition's reign, 478 days. New Day's at 418. So they're still a long ways away. But it seems that the next challenge to the New Day is going to be Sheamus and Cesaro, the odd couple we've been talking about for weeks. Foley threw them together after the draw in their Best of 7 series. I don't personally agree with it. I don't think they should be the ones to take the belts off the New Day. So maybe they're really serious about the New Day breaking Demolition's record, 478 days. But anyway, Kofi Kingston versus Cesaro last night was a very entertaining match. In the beginning, Sheamus sat on the steps outside, being a one-on-one match, and he was Facebook Living while he was on the steps outside the match. It was hilarious. I jumped on Facebook, saw him live. It was funny, to say the least. But in the end, Kofi Kingston gets the roll-up on Cesaro when Sheamus attacks Xavier Woods, and then Big E knocks out Sheamus. Cesaro not paying attention. Kofi Kingston rolls him up 1, 2, 3. Now, I'm not going to lie. It was announced last night at Hell in a Cell. Kofi and Big E against Cesaro and Sheamus. Power-wise, they match up with the New Day. Obviously, they have the advantage in that category. But as far as tag team, just general tag team, I don't think Cesaro and Sheamus should be the ones to take them off. But anyway, at Hell in a Cell for the tag team titles, the New Day against Sheamus and Cesaro. Then we had a funny backstage segment between Jericho and R-Truth. Jericho's on the phone with somebody saying, "You better get me that payday." R-Truth came in and was like, "I got you, dog. I got you, dog." And he gave him the payday candy bar. It was a little cringeworthy, but I thought it was pretty funny. And then Jericho said, after R-Truth left, Jericho said, "Well, I didn't say I didn't want it. Stupid idiot." And that stupid idiot catchphrase is so over with Jericho. It's killing me that got over. Enzo and Cass are in the ring talking smack talk of Skywalker, Mike Saber for a hater, which to me, it's running its course. But they're going to fight Bo Dallas and Curtis Axel. But the club come out and attack Enzo and Cass while they're talking smack. Give them a good beating, which I love. I'm glad the club is finally being used as the bullies that they are. They need to run roughshod over the tag team division and get those belts off New Day. So Sami Zayn and Neville come out to accept Bo Dallas and Curtis Axel's challenge. Neville is the man that I forgot. Not just Gravity. I forgot about him. I'm happy to see him back. He's underused. They need to put him in that cruiserweight division and see what he can do there. But Sami Zayn and Neville get the win, which I say to throw Neville into the cruiserweights because the next match was Tony Nese and Drew Gulak, who didn't get an entrance, by the way. I was pissed off about that. Two outstanding, amazing competitors in the cruiserweight division against, I'm going to call them Lucha Dragons Dos. Sin Cara and Lince Dorado. Dorado are a tag team now. Sin Cara announced yesterday on WWE.com and Twitter and Facebook that he's going to be in the cruiserweight division now. So, Sin Cara's in the cruiserweight division with nothing to do. They won the match. Lucha Dragons Dos won the match. Why not throw Neville down there as well? Give him something to do. I know there's only one champion, but the competition would be great. Everybody vying for that title shot. You can have a ranking system similar to Evolve's, but let's just see what happens with that. Then we had Bayley against a local talent, Cammy Fields. The match was good, but again, a squash match for Bayley. I don't like that for her at all. There's no character development for Bayley. We know she's a babyface. The squash matches usually only work for the big monster heels. There's a reason why when Bo Dallas had a squash match, it got a negative reaction. So did this one, Bayley and Cammy Fields. Bayley gets the win with the Bayley to Belly. It was after the match, however, where the story developed that Dana Brooke attacks Bayley from behind, laying her out, and it works for now, I guess, with Sasha and Charlotte in the cell, or they challenge each other for the cell to have Bayley and Dana Brooke work each other. Raw seemed to have all the women going from the draft, and now we're seeing that that's not the case. The SmackDown's women division is looking a lot stronger than Raw's right now. Next, then we had Baron Corbin. Whoops. Braun Strowman. Braun Strowman, not Baron Corbin. Braun Strowman demolished these two dudes, and I want to focus on these two guys' names. They were the Splash Brothers. Raw was in Oakland last night. Golden State Warrior territory. And they were the Splash Brothers. You know, Stephen Curry, Klay Thompson, the Splash Brothers in the NBA. Well, these dudes' name was Steven and Klay, the Splash Brothers. One dude, I can't even describe what they look like, man. It was comical. They got the shit kicked out of them. And Strowman says, next week, what happens is all going to be on Mick Foley's hands. I don't know why they didn't send out a Mark Henry this week. Or send out anybody. They have talent back there to send out to Strowman. It doesn't have to be a Sin Cara or the Splash Brothers. I think James Ellsworth would have worked a lot better. I know Foley said he was thinking about Strowman Ellsworth too, but let's keep going. Foley comes out for his Hell in a Cell address. Now, we know Roman Reigns and Rusev is going to be in a cell. But Foley agreed to let, for the first time ever, Sasha Banks and Charlotte one-on-one inside a Hell in a Cell for the Women's Championship. Can you imagine? Two women? These girls almost kill each other in the regular ring. Botching moves and just doing crazy shit. Could you imagine them inside a Hell in a Cell? This is going to be crazy. But he also announced that Seth Rollins will challenge Kevin Owens for the Universal title inside a Hell in a Cell. That's 3 Hell in a Cell matches in 3 weeks at Hell in a Cell. Say that 3 times fast. 3 Hell in a Cell matches, all 3 for the championships that Raw has, except why don't you just throw the tag titles in the Hell in a Cell? Nah, never mind. But yeah, all 3 matches inside a Hell in a Cell. But the big news is those women are going inside that cell for the very first time. I always thought China would be the first woman to compete in a Hell in a Cell, but Sasha Banks and Charlotte, I'll take it. R-Truth against Titus O'Neil, I have no idea. Now, I've been complaining about Raw and their commercials, and they don't have enough wrestling. And I think this was like the 6th or 7th or 8th match on Raw last night, but it wasn't needed. Titus O'Neil does these stupid after-the-show interviews in the locker room. They're empty. No presser there. I think Tom Phillips is the only one that shows up, but it was a pointless match. R-Truth gets the roll-up on Titus O'Neil. Poor Titus. If I was TNA Titus, that's what they should be calling him, because he needs to get out of there and take his ass to TNA. Well, he'll be used improperly, but at least he'll be used. Paul Heyman comes out and makes this big announcement that we've all known was going to happen since 2K17 announced Goldberg was working with him. Brock Lesnar sends Paul Heyman to Raw. Brock Lesnar challenges Goldberg. Oh yeah, he challenged him. Heyman said, Goldberg, you're not in a video game, and when you're in Suplex City, you're next. Goldberg tweeted 10 minutes after that and said his plane ticket is ready, that he'll be in Raw next week to answer that loudmouth challenge. We knew this was going to happen when WWE 2K17 announced Goldberg was a secret character. I said it. They did it with Ultimate Warrior. They did it with Sting. Now they're doing it with Goldberg. Amazing. Gonna do a separate video on that, so I'm gonna keep going. TJ Perkins, the Cruiserweight champion on Raw, has been prominently featured on Raw a little too much. He faced Ariya Daivari last night with Brian Kendrick on commentary. They had a backstage segment with Kendrick and Perkins earlier in the night as well, where Perkins laid him out. Perkins wins this match, but shout out to Ariya Daivari, who is Daivari's brother that used to manage Muhammad Hassan and the Great Khali. And TJ Perkins is your cruiserweight champion, but you have 30. I mean, you obviously have more than 6 cruiserweights signed. Oversaturating the fans with TJ Perkins is starting to hurt him. We already know he had locker room heat because of the homeless story and people saying, well, why does everybody feel bad for TJ Perkins? I went through the same thing. And showing Perkins too much on Raw. I know you want to show your cruiserweight champion, but I think it's hurting his character. Love his entrance video. It's dope. It's like the old 1980s video game, 8-bit. It's really cool. But TJ Perkins goes over Daivari, has a stare down with Kendrick. I think Kendrick could win this at Hell in a Cell. As you know, it's going to be Brian Kendrick, the Wizard of Odd, against TJ Perkins for the Cruiserweight Championship. And I think Brian Kendrick could take it. Again, that Cruiserweight division has so much potential to be as competitive as any division or for any other belt in WWE we've ever seen. They had 32 men in that tournament, and every single one of them produced. Every single one of them could be in that division. Of course, they're not going to sign all 32. But Ibushi's still being used down in NXT. He's a bona fide superstar. You got guys like Jack Gallagher that have been signed that still haven't made their debuts on Raw. Guys like Drew Gulak who can straight up go. So my point is they need to do more with that division, not just tag team matches, random tag team matches, because there's no titles. And have your Cruiserweight champion defeat someone every single week. I'm sure next week we'll get a match with Brian Kendrick and someone, maybe a mixed TJ Perkins, insert name here, versus Brian Kendrick and his partner of his choice. But the main event of Raw wasn't Sasha Banks and Roman Reigns against Charlotte and Rusev, because there was a match after that one. Charlotte and Rusev look good. It's funny last night seeing them. It makes me wonder if Lana took it a little more serious, what her and Rusev could be able to do. You know what I mean? But, of course, Reigns and Sasha Banks go over. Reigns, the boss and the man, or the guy they were calling it, the big dog and the boss, I don't know. But wasn't even interested in that match that much. Watched it, of course. But Banks and Charlotte in that Hell in a Cell is going to be great. And Rusev and Reigns, you know they're going to tear each other apart in the Hell in a Cell. So that's what I'm looking forward to. But the main event last night, which I forgot to say during Foley's Hell in a Cell address, Kevin Owens came out with Jericho. They got into it. Stephanie McMahon announced the main event. Seth Rollins against Jericho. If Jericho beats Seth Rollins, he's inserted into that Hell in a Cell. It didn't happen, though. Seth Rollins, even with interference from Kevin Owens a couple of times, still manages to beat Jericho. Jericho takes another pedigree to finish the night. Owens does nothing to help his best friend. But I'm starting to think that Jericho is just being Kevin Owens' friend because he wants that Universal title. But Raw overall was really good last night. They had a lot of matches, still a lot of commercials, but it's a 3-hour show. Those women that are going to be in the Hell in a Cell, that's going to be great. That was exciting. Strowman coming out and threatening Foley again. I think they should have had a payoff for that this week, but they're not. So we'll see what happens next Monday. Seth Rollins and Kevin Owens. They're finally starting to show them more on the show. The focus it's really been on Reigns and Rusev and that U.S. title, because God forbid we can't forget about Roman Reigns. We can't forget about Roman Reigns. They're putting no focus on the Universal title. It was good to see them back in the main event, and Rollins and Owens having some on-screen chemistry. Remember, on Let's Talk Wrestling, there's no gimmicks needed. Don't forget to watch SmackDown tonight. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and comment. We finally reached over 100 subscribers. Thank you to all my subscribers. I'm hoping we get to 200 pretty soon. But remember, man, no gimmicks needed. Just me, the camera, and you, the viewer. So tell a friend to tell a friend about Let's Talk Wrestling.